State of the yard, late November 2025. This is the time of year which is actually the best for California trees because we get all of our rain. So plant your plants now if you've got California. This is lavender. This is the side yard, which you guys haven't seen too much because it used to not be open to native plants. I've started putting more native plants in here. We've got some of the typical Douglas iris. We put in some fragrant pitcher sage, which is doing really well. I'm really impressed by it. This one is the white flower variety, and I've got to look up the name again because I think I misnamed it last year. And then we've got some okay, these are the Matija poppies, which these guys get really large. They get really big flowery things. They also have little tiny thorns all over them. I actually planted a couple of these out front before I realized just how nasty they could be, and I was like, we are not planting anywhere near where people actually have to walk. So that's why this one is regulated to the side. It also gets chopped down on a regular basis. When it wants to grow, it grows way out of bounds. My next project for this one is to put it in a cage. That is a variegated lavender, non-native. We have a couple of pentstemons here, and we have a couple of ferns here. And this area is not used much because there's a giant fir tree, and the fir tree makes it so that not much grows underneath it. Over here, we do have quite a few of the Louisa cliffmaids, and they are doing well in the pots. They seem to enjoy pots, but they also kind of need it in a little mild weather area. I put a couple over on the sides, and I keep moving them around because some of them do better in one spot than the others. You can see that one pot is enjoying. They originally grew up on cliffs, so they really like to get in nooks and then trail, as evidenced by that little section of the white there. So scattering them in pots around the area, it works really well. Growing underneath the fir tree, the western columbines do okay. They don't do awesome, but they do okay underneath the fir tree. This is the elderberry tree, which was a volunteer at the time, so this is actually not a great spot for it to grow because it's right in between a couple of trees, but it's also directly underneath the power lines. This is not a great place for the fir tree to be either. We get trimmed on a regular basis, but the elderberries need to be trimmed back. I go through and hack off all the straight up ones. You can see one lone one left there that I failed to grab when I was getting all the others. But this makes for a lot of great elderberry. So it pulls. I have elderberry pulls like crazy because I pretty much harvest the elderberry on a regular basis. It's also really interesting because the elderberry is kind of a hollow in there. You can sort of see it there. It's kind of like balsa wood on the inside, really soft. So they aren't the longest, sturdiest, but they can be very solid the more the growth pattern is. You can see this one's very solid. So that one's a bamboo. But I enjoy using the elderberries for sticks on the vegetable garden areas, and then I'm planning on using them for making that area for the poppies and seeing if I can do that for some more of the other zones. So underneath the elderberry, which grows over to the one side, it's very shady down here. We've got the Louisa cliffmaids in pots, and then some non-native because I like strange scents. I like scented plants. These are lemon geraniums, which is just amazing. They smell like lemon pledge. But you can also see that the yerba buena does very well here. I think it also likes trailing down. And we need to go ahead. Oh, it is the time of year where I have to start weeding out the oxalis. I try and get as much of the root systems as possible, but whenever I'm walking around and seeing oxalis, I try and grab them. It is an ever-growing problem. This is common to the Bay Area, probably throughout all of California. But it is a invasive, and it's a very pervasive invasive, because one little tiny little strand left over will go ahead and produce more of them. However, after many years, I have actually reduced the oxalis footprint, especially here in the back. It used to be really, really bad, and through the use of regular, constant picking them out, even if I don't get every single little trim every single time, it's reduced down the amount that comes through here quite a bit. That whole area used to be almost all oxalis, and now it is mostly sage, hummingbird sage. So the hummingbird sage does not look its prettiest at the moment because of the time of year, but you can see how well the hummingbird sage has grown out to fill this whole area. The next tree along down here is a giant fig tree, and the fig tree has the interesting property that it is full shade during the summer when it has all of its leaves, and then in the winter it drops all of its leaves and it's full sun there because it only has the branches. So anything underneath it, you can see the leaves are starting to drop right now. It's still pretty green. Normally at this time of year it's really dropping them, but we're a little bit, it's been a mild summer and it's kind of a mild winter too, but you can see it there, and the leaves are starting to drop. So in addition to putting down a ton of mulch here, I do actually leave the leaves around. This is a really good overwintering patch for native bees and anything. So, because native bees, honeybees have hives. Native bees, for the most part, live in the ground or burrow into the ground, and they overwinter. They sort of hibernate over the winter and time in particular. There's not a lot that's growing at this time of year, so the native bees will dig in. So having an area over here that's comprised of fallen leaves, and I will also probably be pulling over a bunch of the fallen or harvested branches and such. I will be going ahead and putting those out and making an overwintering pile so that anything that likes to overwinter in the piles will have that area. I do break it down towards the beginning of the year after everything has had a chance to come out of it, mostly because I don't want critters living in it year-round. Which, okay, yes, this is a backyard. This is not actually a wilderness. This is actually a yard. But you can see very happy hummingbird sage. Happy everything. Back there, we have the creeping gray sage, which has crept and crept and crept all over. And I keep ducking down because I'm picking up more oxalis as we go along. I probably shouldn't always mix my recording while I'm walking along, but this is part of the gardening. And believe it or not, last time I walked around there was not this much oxalis around here. Oxalis is crazy. It just, one time it's not there and the next time you go by it is. Oh man. There's only so much oxalis picking you can do at a time though. This is my most famous coyote mint, and famous, but this is my most beloved coyote mint. That is a single plant. That is a single plant, and it is the happiest coyote mint I have ever seen in my life. I'm like, I have so much joy that this coyote mint loves this spot, but it really loves this spot. This is perfect. I have other coyote mints, and they do not thrive as just incredibly as this particular one does. Look at that coyote mint. That is a giant coyote mint. I am so happy that coyote mint loves its location. I really do like coyote mint. The Salvia sominosus, which is the bee's bliss, creeping gray sage, loves its location too. It has seriously crept and crept and crept, and now most of my time with this is trying to keep it out of areas it shouldn't creep. The rock pile is there mostly to put a line to say, okay, we are trimming the sage right there. Oh man, I keep wanting another dwarf orange. That is okay, it's not a dwarf orange, it's a fake orange. It's a mock orange. Philippa Louisui or something like that. But this needs to be closer. This needs to be closer where people can actually see it and experience it, because in the springtime, oh, the smell is wonderful. It really smells like an orange bush in blossom. Oh, are you guys looking? Okay, I occasionally put peanuts out for the crows, and they would like their peanuts. And we are 11 minutes in, and man, I'm not too far away here. They also probably want me to redo the water there. Well, you know, this is probably enough of a video for the moment, because we're 11 minutes in, and I've rambled on to a point. So we'll say end of this for part 1. Yay, this is winter time in a California backyard, and the crows want their water and they want their peanuts, so I will get back to this later.